Hey everyone, so this is a story I've been wanting to cover for about a week now. I first heard about it on the radio at work, and it's one of those stories that's just so out there and so outrageous that it kind of stops you in your tracks. I remember hearing it and thinking, I've got to cover this on the show. And not just because it's so lurid and attention grabbing, but because it's well within the wheelhouse of the show. It has to do with religion. So apparently, the Dalai Lama was at some kind of event, and while engaging with a small boy, behaved rather inappropriately, shall we say, and we'll get into the details. In a moment, I'll actually read from a Reuters article. But first, maybe I should give you a little insight into where I'm coming from. When I first started to really close the door on belief in a personal creator God, probably back in my late teens or early 20s, I still remained something of a seeker, and I found some solace or comfort in exploring some other spiritual systems, especially Eastern philosophy and religion, especially Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism, Zen Buddhism, etc. And what I found comforting about Buddhism is that it didn't require a belief in a personal creator God, and yet it still provided a sense of spirituality or allowed you to have or maintain, some kind of spiritual worldview. And I learned a lot from Buddhism that I still value. Principles I've tried to incorporate into my being, like compassion and equanimity, etc. But I think, like many Westerners, I may have tended to over romanticize certain aspects of it, like Buddhist monastic life, etc. It never even crossed my mind that Buddhist institutions could be plagued with the type of disturbing allegations or incidents of sexual assault or abuse that we find with other religious institutions, like, say, the Catholic Church, but it certainly seems to be the case. And I was disturbed when I first found out. It shattered that idealized image I had in my head of Tibetan Buddhism, etc. And I believe, depending on which case we're talking about, the victims are sometimes women, sometimes child monks, possibly lay children too, I'm not certain. But I'm looking at some headlines. There's a story about a prominent Tibetan Buddhist teacher who had been long accused of sexual abuse or misconduct. And that's from 2019, and it's from the BBC. A Tibetan Buddhist teacher accused of widespread physical and sexual abuse has died age 72. And looks like his name was Sogyal Lakar. And I guess after the Dalai Lama himself, he was considered the best known Tibetan Buddhist teacher. And then there's a story out of Europe where there had been at least 12 alleged victims who were victimized by Tibetan Buddhist spiritual teachers. Let's see, Dalai Lama decries Buddhist teachers' sex abuse. The Tibetan spiritual leader told Dutch TV he has known about the sex crimes in Europe since the 1990s, and this article dates back to 2018. He was presented with written accounts from 12 alleged victims from Belgium and the Netherlands. The Dalai Lama, during a 4-day visit to the Netherlands, has confirmed he was informed about sexual abuse by Buddhist teachers against their followers in Europe. And here's a quote: "I already did know these things. It's nothing new," the Dalai Lama said in response to a question on Dutch public television, NOS, late on Saturday. And I'm obviously not laughing at the subject matter. It's very serious. I'm laughing at the response. And then the Bangkok Post, temples no longer safe for children. I'm looking at some other headlines. Abuse in Buddhism behind the smiling facade. The Daily Beast, inside Tibetan Buddhism's rape and abuse scandal. See ABC News, Buddhist monk at OC temple accused of sexually assaulting 2 women when they were just little girls. Jesus. If I was a parent, I think I'd be afraid to leave my kids with any kind of religious figure. Obviously, we all know about the Catholic sexual abuse scandal, or scandals plural, and for a long time it was Catholicism that was kind of the butt of everyone's jokes when it came to this type of thing. But it's obviously something that plagues other religions as well, including Mormonism. And I'm not just talking about fringe Mormon cultists like Warren Jeffs, but also within the mainstream LDS. There's been numerous stories about evangelical preachers and youth pastors abusing underage people. And yeah, even within Buddhism. And this isn't me taking a swipe at religion. I'm sure the majority of the clergy of whatever religion we happen to be talking about probably aren't perpetrating or engaging in this kind of predatory and depraved behavior. I'm just commenting on what is nevertheless an obvious problem in a number of religious institutions. So, given all this, I sadly wasn't terribly surprised when I heard about this story concerning the Dalai Lama. Well, I was surprised, but not surprised, I guess, in a sense. But speaking of that, let's finally get to the story. And here, as promised, I'll read from a Reuters article. And so here it is. It's dated April 10th, so 6 days ago as I'm recording this. Dalai Lama apologizes after video asking boy to, quote unquote, suck my tongue. Yeah. New Delhi, April 10th, Reuters. The Dalai Lama, the Tibetan's 87-year-old spiritual leader, apologized on Monday after footage showed him asking a young boy to, quote unquote, I have to say it again, suck my tongue. This might be the most degenerate or disturbing drinking game word or phrase in the history of the show. Hopefully I don't have to repeat it again at a public event. A video clip has been circulating that shows a recent, and this is in quotes, a video clip has been circulating that shows a recent meeting when a young boy asked His Holiness the Dalai Lama if he could give him a hug, said a statement on the exiled leader's Twitter account, which has 19 million followers. And also in quotes, His Holiness wishes to apologize to the boy and his family, as well as his many friends across the world, for the hurt his words may have caused. The statement said the Dalai Lama leader, that's kind of an odd phrasing, often teases people he meets in an innocent and playful way, even in public and before cameras. He regrets the incident. The video, which has 1 million views on Twitter, also shows the Nobel Peace Laureate apparently giving the boy a peck on the lips, in presence of an audience who are heard clapping and laughing, while a man captures the moment on a phone. Reuters has not verified the clip, so I don't know if they're suggesting that it could have been doctored or deep faked. I've seen it and it looks pretty genuine. I'm not, a forensics expert when it comes to analyzing video or whatever, but it has the genuine look and feel of a candid moment that someone recorded at a public event, And I guess the kiss or peck on the mouth could, if you wanted to argue, could be chalked up to cultural relativity. There's other societies or cultures, parts of Europe, etc., where a quick peck on the mouth can be seen as being as innocent as a kiss on the cheek. So you could, in fairness, make that argument that probably isn't as big a deal. Once again, cultural relativity, that probably wouldn't fly here, kissing someone else's kid on the mouth, even if it's a quick, innocent peck. So I think some people do that in the U.S., maybe parents or grandparents might give a kid a quick peck on the mouth or something. And I have to say, when it comes to the tongue thing, I was almost a little bit going to give the Dalai Lama the benefit of the doubt, because the version of the video they include in the Reuters article, and they make a note of it, that they don't include the moment where he sticks his tongue out at the kid. And so because you don't see it, and you had people, maybe apologists, saying, oh, he likes to tease people and be playful. In my mind, I thought maybe, just maybe, kind of like clowning around, like if you're joking with someone, you maybe put your hands up to your head and poke your tongue out. Maybe it was one of those things. And I thought maybe he just said something wacky or absurd, but didn't actually intend for the kid to do it or want the kid to do it, But I found the original video unedited on YouTube, and it's very disturbing. He doesn't just like stick his tongue out like a circus clown. He sticks his tongue out and leans right in towards the kid's face. And he almost has like a lustful look on his face. His face isn't playful. He gets real serious, real intent and focused. Almost, when someone gets thirsty, man, like he's got this look on his face like he ain't playing around, and his tongue's out and he's leaning right in towards the kid's face. I'll probably include it in the YouTube version of the episode. So, no, I don't think he deserves the benefit of the doubt after seeing the actual unedited video. It is bad, man. It is bad. So, unless this really is some people are theorizing that this is China trying to get at the Dalai Lama because obviously there's decades of tension between China and Tibet, the Chinese government's oppression of Tibet, the fact that the Dalai Lama has to live in exile, etc. So, barring it's some genius deep fake or something, if it is what it appears to be on face value, it's a disgusting display, and it definitely changes the way I look at the Dalai Lama. I definitely will include the video in the YouTube version so you guys can see for yourselves. And all right, so this turned out to be a relatively short one. I'm going to end it there. As always, thanks for listening and or watching, and until next time. And I know I said I would get a documentary episode on the goddess Eostra out by the end of this weekend, and I apologize for making a liar out of myself. I'm going to do my best to get that finished up this week. All right. Bye for real this time.